Present! Oh!
At Arlington National Cemetery, Donald Trump participated in a wreath-laying ceremony to mark the third anniversary of a deadly attack on U.S. troops in Kabul, Afghanistan. 13 U.S. soldiers were killed during a chaotic withdrawal that continues to be the focus of Trump criticism of the Biden-Harris administration. But while in Arlington on this day, Donald Trump generated his own controversy with this. Trump had a photo op with the family of a soldier killed, and Trump gave a thumbs up. Such photo ops are not allowed, according to the visitor rules for Arlington National Cemetery. Quote, partisan activities are inappropriate in Arlington National Cemetery due to its role as a shrine to all the honored dead of the armed forces of the United States and out of respect for the men and women buried there and for their families. Services or any activities inside the cemetery there shall not be partisan in nature. A service is partisan and therefore inappropriate if it includes commentary, support of, or in opposition to, or attempts to influence any current policy of the armed forces, the government of the United States, or any state of the United States, if it endorses the cause of a political party, or if it has a primary purpose to gain publicity or engender support for any cause. Does this photo endorse the cause of Donald Trump and the Republican Party? It sure does. Is the primary purpose to gain publicity? You bet. Donald Trump did not visit Arlington Cemetery last year or the year before, but now, less than 75 days before the election, Donald Trump is trying to make a political appeal to military veterans. And on top of desecrating Arlington National Cemetery, Trump then went to a National Guard conference in Michigan, spoke about military veterans, and desecrated the truth.
So I created and have VA Choice. They've been wanting to do it for 57 years. I got it done. Passed in Congress, and
that was a lie. The VA Choice Act was passed under President Obama. As Newsweek reports, the VA Choice Act, or the Veterans Access to Care Through Choice, Accountability, and Transparency Act, was passed in 2014 under President Barack Obama. According to The Hill, the bipartisan bill expanded the number of options veterans have for receiving care and granted the United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs more power to fire executives. It included choice cards for veterans to see non-VA providers if they could not get appointments with the agency within 30 days or live more than 40 miles from a clinic, and added nearly $500 million for hiring additional nurses and doctors. Senators Bernie Sanders and John McCain were the main architects of the legislation. In June 2018, Trump signed the Mission Act, which made it easier for veterans to seek private care. This was an update of the VA Choice Act and consolidated the existing healthcare programs under the Veterans Affairs Department into one central program. But nonpartisan fact-check organizations say that Trump's claims about passing VA Choice and getting things done that had not been done for 57 years, those claims are false. Donald Trump has lied about this before. The Washington Post says Trump has lied about Veterans Choice more than 200 times. Still, to lie again just hours after violating the rules of decorum at Arlington National Cemetery is particularly noxious. Also, keep in mind that for all of Donald Trump's efforts to align himself with military veterans, Donald Trump's own former White House chief of staff said that Trump referred to America's war dead as suckers and losers. To be clear, Donald Trump is not breaking any laws by lying about his administration record, and officials at Arlington National Cemetery are not commenting about Trump's desecration except to point to the written rules. Still, the cheap political machinations of Donald Trump should be clear and obvious to everybody. Donald Trump only seems to care about veterans if they or their cause can somehow help him politically. And Trump is not exactly helping himself these days with his low-energy, boring speaking style. By many accounts, Trump's remarks in Detroit came across as stale and sleepy. At one point, Trump spoke about using the National Guard to stop Black Lives Matter protesters.
as president, I stood with the National Guard as you saved Minneapolis, saved Kenosha, and saved Washington, D.C. I saved them. If I didn't override what they wanted to do and what tradition is, those places would have been, we would have lost every monument in Washington. You know, they came into Washington and they were very rambunctious. They liked to pull the statues down, some of these beautiful statues. And then they hit Abraham Lincoln. I said, all right, that's the end of that. And I found there was a bill from the early 1900s. We don't do bills like that anymore. This said, if you touch government property, statues, monuments of any kind, you will serve 10 years with no probation, no early getting out. You go to jail for 10 years. Very simple. It was beautifully stated. It was like one paragraph. And it had dust on it. It was dusty. Nobody used it because we wouldn't do that because we become very soft. They only go after political opponents. They don't do anything like murderers. Those guys are safe. Drug dealers, no problem. But political opponents, they go after. So this was in very bad. It was a very old bill. And I had a news conference, and they were all over. They wanted to take down the Thomas Jefferson, the Jefferson Memorial. They wanted to take it down. They were heading that way. They were actually heading that way. We had them all stopped, but they were heading that way. It's like fighting a war.
Much of Donald Trump's description about the Black Lives Matter protesters in Washington is rubbish, of course. And the other problem for Donald Trump is that while he praises an old bill to lock up people who trample on national monuments and buildings, Trump seems oblivious to the contradiction with January the 6th. Donald Trump has vowed to pardon the people who were convicted on charges stemming from the January 6th riot. Consistency is not a Donald Trump strength, except to the extent that Donald Trump repeats his lies and cheapens America's most hallowed grounds. What a shame. By the way, Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, is now getting ridiculed for her epic stupidity.
That if you're a person who is attempting to cheat in our elections or an illegal citizen attempting to illegally vote in our elections, we will find you.
Did you catch that with Lara Trump? Here's the Republican chair slowed down.
Attempting to cheat in our elections or an illegal citizen attempting to illegally vote.
Raw story. Stupid Lara Trump ridiculed by critics after threat against illegal citizens. Keith Olbermann. There's a lot of illegal stupid in the Lara Lee Trump and Eric Trump household. Kathy Coleman. Illegal citizen? I think Lara's dumber than a pile of dumb rocks. Bruno Amato. Almost every person found guilty of voter fraud, a microscopic total of total votes cast, have been Republicans. And Mr. Neuberger, when singing career doesn't work, dabble in fascism.
We're watching everything. We're filing lawsuits when necessary, and we're making sure we have people everywhere votes are being cast and counted to have eyes on everything.
And never mind eyeing everything. Just a few months ago, Lara Trump went even further.
Now have the ability at the RNC not just to have poll watchers, people standing in polling locations, but people who can physically handle the ballots. We want people all across this country.
Can we do this? I want to hear. This is really fascinating to me.
But people who can physically handle the ballots.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Aggressive Attitude, who wrote, Janice from the Muppets has really gone downhill. Funny, I got it. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump desecrating Arlington National Cemetery. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.